I like to teach things that are simple, not too involved, because I like people to have success.
Yes.
So it's one of these things, because once you get people to learn, they might stick to it.
You're listening to Fussy Cutters Club podcast, a show that gives you permission to cut into the good fabric so you can make quilts you love. And now your host, who believes it's not a crime to love using novelty fabrics, Ange Wilson.
Hello, Fussy Cutters. Today we're sitting down and talking with Teresa from Teresa Down Under. Don't let the name fool you. She's not actually down under. Well, she was when we spoke. She was home visiting family in Canberra, Australia, where we once lived. But she's currently living in Morocco, which sounds amazing and conjures all these ideas of colours and sights and sounds and smells and amazing food. And it was a real pleasure that Teresa made the time to sit down and talk when she was home, and I really appreciated it. If you don't know Teresa's work, she was an early influence of mine and still is. She pioneered the space around online tutorials using video and YouTube, and a lot of her early work was the stuff that subsequent bloggers like myself built our business models on, and she's really influenced the way that I looked at what was important in a tutorial, and so it was a real pleasure to sit down and chat with her. She is a wealth of information, has such a broad life experience, and, you know, she's really smart and multilingual and just really lovely. And so it was a real pleasure to get to know the person behind the YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. So let's get chatting. Hi, Therese. Welcome Down Under.
Hello, Ange. Thank you.
How was your trip from Morocco?
Long.
Yeah.
Very, very long.
Yeah.
And we lost the suitcases. Well, we lost them. They didn't arrive in time.
Oh, wow.
So we just got them yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So I've been, not fun at all. No. But there was part was not having anything. I usually take my or some EPP project or something with me, but I didn't. Yeah. And I didn't have anything. So I felt like
wasted journey.
I thought I need to do something. And so first time yesterday when we received the suitcases, I started sewing.
Oh, wow.
Got it up.
So you're in Australia now from Morocco.
Yes, I'm in
you're
Australia,
normally in Australia because your YouTube handle is Teresa Down Under.
That's right.
But you're actually from Spain?
I'm from Spain. I moved to Australia in 1990. I've been here ever since, except for, we moved temporarily to Madrid, then for 3 years, then we moved temporarily to Paris for 3 years, and then temporarily to Morocco for, now it's going to be the 4th year, and then back here.
Wow.
So
you've seen the world then? Some of the world.
Yes, well, some more than other people, but yes.
Yeah.
I would say Western world, mostly until this last Morocco has been a totally different experience. I never lived in a developing country, so it's quite different.
I can imagine. But the colour in Morocco seems amazing. Have you not been?
The landscape is very spectacular. They have very nice landscapes. It's very dry.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of textiles and traditional carpet making and bed covers and things like that. But unfortunately, it's very difficult to source natural materials that I can use for regular quilting. Like cotton is hard to find.
So do you find you import a lot of, like you order online and bring it in?
I do order online. Yeah, it's very difficult to. I did buy, this is a funny story because there might be other places where you can buy in Casablanca or in Marrakech. Probably not a lot. There might be, but in Rabat, where there's basically nothing. The markets, people don't do quilting in Morocco.
Yeah, it's a bit hot. It'll be cold overnight though.
It gets cold in winter in some places. But I did find a market where in one stand, they had a lot of quilting, you know, the samples that you get from a catalog. I suppose, or shops get them or used to get them.
Yeah.
I did find a lot of those. I bought everything that I found, and I haven't been able to find the place again. But I will go back and see if I can find it. So yeah. Anyway.
So you're going to stock up on fabric while you're in Australia?
Yes. But I did move with. I had already stocked up before going, but yes, I regularly buy still some, and I will. And batting, for instance, another thing. They don't. I did find a place with batting, but it wasn't proper. It's just for, to make sofas and that sort of thing. They use a lot of. I mean, they do produce a lot of Moroccan kind of. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like what they call a salon marocain, which is it's a room where the sofas sort of cover all the walls.
Oh, yeah.
And people sit around on tables to have tea, biscuits, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so those lounge rooms are manufactured by hand by the people. People live up that. Lots of places where they do that because these are very special looking, and they have a lot of fabrics, very shiny ones, but it tends to be all polyester.
Yep.
Anyway,
so you moved to Australia in 1990. When did you start your crafty blog tutorial journey?
Okay, the blog probably started in around 2009 or so. A few years after I started doing quilting. I think I started in 2004.
Yep.
And in 2009, I think I started to publish some. Definitely, I started to publish more in 2011, which is when I stopped having the regular job because we moved to Paris and I had more time. So I did that for 3 years. And then coming back here is when I started to do the videos.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, like that. So in 2015, I think in October, I always remember. And that's it. I've been doing that ever since
And what made you start?
Yep.
Like, were people asking you how you made stuff, or did you go, well, I'm learning and I can't find anything?
No, I did actually start because to give back. Okay. So I learned a lot through blogs. People posted tutorials on how to make quilts, how to, patterns. So that's how I learned lots through internet. So I thought, I think I need to give something back. So I started it was like a documenting. Before the videos, I was documenting my journey, making things.
Yeah.
And things that I found interesting or different And then my textured quilts, which I was very interested in the fabric manipulation things that I from my youth, how people made dresses for girls, but even more like in high fashion as well. Sometimes you find very interesting fabric manipulations.
Yeah.
And so I experimented a bit with that, and I thought, well, I don't know if anybody's making this around the world, just in case something different, so I started to document that. I put tutorials online for people to, do what I did, just learn from each other. But the videos started when I was watching. I don't have a lot of patience to sit through long videos, and actually I don't. I don't watch long tutorials, never done that on video, like 20 minutes of, explaining how to make a block and a quilt.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've watched any in full ever. And so what I did, I was looking at a recipe, a cooking recipe.
Yep.
And I thought, well, if you look at making a block, it's not very different from the recipe you've got. You cut your pieces, you put them together, kind of cook it, and at the other end, it comes the block. And I said, you don't need like 20 minutes or even 5 minutes often to demonstrate how to do it.
Yep.
And I was a believer. Well, for me, sometimes when you have a very long format, from the time you start telling about the story, all the things that you talk about in the middle that have nothing to do with what you're making, people go on different paths and you get lost and diverge, so to speak. And so what I did, I thought it was a better strategy to learn anything, to make it appear more doable if you just have a short format, 2 minutes. That's where the idea that I started. In 2 minutes, I should be able to teach people how to make this block. If it was a bit more involved, maybe 3. But that's what I thought. So from the time you start to the time you finish, you haven't had any distractions. You're just making that block. And at the end, you should feel the same as with cooking. You saw one of those recipes and you thought, I can make that. That was the idea. And then I started to add variations on the block at the end to make quills, just to demonstrate how it would look.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, people thought that was really good addition to the I didn't even think about when I did it. I thought, oh, well, you need to know. And then I like playing with things, so I just like playing with different positionings of the block and placement and stuff. And so since people thought it was very useful, I just continued to add those things at the end of the video. And that's how. And I don't think I've changed much since 2015. Yeah.
But I'm the same as you. I don't like a long-winded video, and I know that. Because we're just branching into YouTube now. And so I've been doing a lot of reading and research and watching stuff. And they're like, tell a story, take them on a story journey. And I'm like, there's no story here. The story is you do A, B, C, you get D.
Exactly.
And I think that's the thing. When I go looking for a tutorial, that's what I want.
Exactly. I mean, I know that some people have told me they like to see my face and they like to hear more about, me explaining it. And some people are more. This is just one way of teaching. Not everybody is suited to my style. Other people will like. Some people comment, no voice, no subscribing. I said, well, thank you very much.
Yep. And that's the thing. So I was very much like you when I first started. I was like, I'm not. Because I've had to, and I assume you're the same, be self-taught with how to edit and do all of that sort of stuff. And so the thought of setting things up to record, me talking about like the different angles and all of that sort of stuff, it was just too hard. So doing one without face and voice to start off, very easy to do. I say very easy. It's easy to do once you start learning. And then I have added voice to mine, which then means you have to put transcript subtitles on it.
That's right.
But it means that people can hear the nuance. But
yeah. And I have to say that my first one had my voice.
Yeah.
But I've always been very self-conscious about my accent. And so I didn't find it was a very easy process to explain either with voice. Like I had to repeat. Probably I would have gotten better if, with time. But I thought, as well, some people just watch this while they are with other people or public transport.
Yeah.
And so they can read it. I'm accessibility conscious, and even then I have not gone down the path of including transcripts. I could have. Yeah. But then not everybody is tech savvy. So I thought if I put the subtitles straight on camera, people won't miss it.
Yeah. And it's your tutorials when I first started sewing, and then when we looked at what format would work for us, was certainly very heavily influenced because I appreciated your style. And I ultimately, I think, I'd love to go to the setup that Fat Quarter Shop and Missouri Star have, where they've got a full team and they can do the different shots of what they're working on and who they're talking to.
That's right.
But for one person, it's a very achievable thing. And I think the addition of I watched one of the first videos I saw of yours was, I think it was like 15 different blocks with HSTs. And you had the same units and you just rotated slightly and showed exactly how many variations you could make from the same. I think it was 9 HSTs or something.
You got any number with those? Yes.
Yeah, and it was amazing. And I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for. I couldn't find anybody else that was doing that. And so simple and straight to the point. That was exactly what I needed.
Straight to the point. That's me. Also Spanish, we are very straight to the point as
direct.
Well, in the way we direct. Exactly. Yep. So maybe that's influenced. I don't know. I don't like losing time. I don't have, and I'm not a kind of person who will talk about, I can talk a lot if I put my mind to it, but I'd rather just get to, I'm very good with summarizing things as well.
Yep.
And that's, I think,
it's funny because you said you're conscious of your accent, which I really love. And I love hearing you talk about things and the way the inflection changes and things like that. I'm really self-conscious of how thick my Australian accent is. And so it's even worse when we travel and we're with a whole bunch of Americans. I am really self-conscious of how Australian I sound.
That's true. I don't see it. I don't hear it as much because I'm not a native. So some of the you probably hear yours more than I hear yours. I mean, if I met you in this trade, I would know that you're Australian. You probably have more than others that I have more neutral accent. But I think Australian accent is fine. I think Americans like it as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And that was my thing when I started filming, like putting voiceover on. I was like, oh no, I have to really dial back the colloquialisms and the slang and so I think it's interesting how we all have the same fears, but to progress, you have to get over those fears. And I think, and I'm not saying you have to do voice, but I'm like, to get to where you've been, you've had to make those decisions that push you out of that comfort zone. Yes. And so your channel is quite large in the sewing, quilting sphere.
Yes, but as usual with this new technology, you start really fast. When I started, I was getting big growth. Yeah. And over the years, I don't know if it was the same. I don't know if it's because this space is very crowded, because I haven't done anything different, or because YouTube, you hear things about these platforms, whether they hook you in with lots of, like growth, very high growth, etc. And once you are hooked in, sort of wedded to the platform, then start pushing you in other directions to memberships or whatever. If you keep doing the same thing, you don't grow as much. I don't know if that's it, or it's just because I'm not doing anything different, or because other people are doing. I'm sure that a lot of people are doing the same as I am doing in rocket science. So there will be probably a lot of competition. I don't know.
Well, I guess
I don't move up. I don't collaborate.
Yeah,
I basically stayed in a very in my corner. I probably could have done, and I still could do, I guess, a lot of things that I'm not doing to grow more.
Yeah.
But this started as a hobby. Yep. And I think is now almost a job. And I don't know if I want it to be a job. Yeah.
No, I feel you, because everyone's like, oh, it must be so great to work in the thing that you love. And you're like, yes, but I took the thing I loved and I made it a job. And we all have the same reactions to jobs. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And if you're a one-person team like me, you have to do everything yourself. You're always catching up. Social media is a lot. I mean, you sort of feel like you have to do social media. And if you don't, you're just not visible.
Yeah.
With YouTube, you had to, first I started with one video, then I put in 2 videos, then shorts. It was just, you needed more and more until, I had an issue with YouTube, and then I decided, bye, I'm going to do something else. And I set up a Patreon page because, yes, really, you can't trust these platforms.
No, and it's very early on, because I started blogging in 2002. Very early on, the advice then was to get an email list started, because they were like, you don't own your blogging platform. Well, at that stage I didn't, but I do now. You don't own social media. You don't own YouTube, Pinterest. So as a business, you want to get those subscribers because you own your email list, and that means that you can cater directly to the people who are interested in hearing what you want to do.
That's right.
And now everything's diversifying. We often joke that it's such a brilliant business model, because social media has basically designed a business where they get paid for other people creating their content.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yep.
Exactly.
But we all do it. Like, it's we were talking about how you advertise, and essentially if you look at social media as an advertising platform, as a way to get people in, once upon a time you would have had to stand on the street corner, with your billboard and go, hey, come into the store. And so if we look at the internet, like that's my store, social media is my street corner, that's what I want to be. That's how you get the customers in. But it is a really, and as you said, as one person, it's a lot of hats to wear.
Yeah. And particularly because I didn't start out to make it a business. I thought it was fun to do those videos to start with. But then you get into the, I'm going to make this, because I designed my own quilts.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe some people would like mine. It's a bit of an ego trip as well. And so you think you do one pattern and you get good feedback and you think, because you like people liking your stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be frank.
You're human. That's we all want to be accepted.
So, and then you sort of think that, okay, what about I'll make another one and then, maybe people would like this. And it just, I don't know, it's hard. It's just get involved into it. And also I had another job before going to Morocco, which I'm on leave without pay from at the moment. But this was on top of my job and a hobby. So you get the feedback from people who tell you, during the pandemic, you helped me so much and I was in such a blah, blah, blah. And just sort of start feeling also responsible for people's feelings. And, if you're that kind of person that you're a bit sympathetic and or you have empathy for people and you receive this feedback that you feel like you want to help and tell you
it is a roller coaster.
It is. It's not like the typical job that you would have had in the past, or there's so many more different things, and you get into them without actually knowing what you're getting into. So anyway, if you're like me, I tend to think or overthink things. So tell you, I've been thinking about this for many, many years, from becoming kind of a bit successful in these videos to, I mean, I would never have, I mean, I'm not someone who likes to be on the spot, and that's why I'm not on my videos.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It is a really interesting path. And I think it's one that this culture that we're going through at the moment of entrepreneurialism, where people are, you should have a side hustle and you should be busy and this is what you should be doing. And so I think quilting is an attractive side hustle for women predominantly. And I think we tend to start quilting or creating because we want to express ourselves, and then a lot of that expression goes into making things for people we love for and care for, and we're generally empathetic as a category of people. We're making things out of love, and so you kind of go, when that takes on a business mindset or moves into that business space, that mental game of how do I continue to be empathetic but draw a boundary, and how much of myself do I put into this very personal process of creating, and how do you balance the overwhelmingly more popular, like more positive feedback with the 2 or 3 negative comments you get, but they're the ones that occupy your brain space.
Yes, they do, surprisingly.
Yeah, and you kind of go, how do you balance all of that? And I don't know what the key is. I don't know. I know there's been a giant struggle in my journey around how to do that. In the end, I've just come to the conclusion that we're not for everybody. There's a few people that will get us, and that's fine. So
that's right.
But so it's been an interesting journey. But now we're at that point where you're coming away with us in May, God willing, next year, and we're going to teach in person, and this is you've done it before. I have taught
French and Spanish, so I'm familiar with teaching, and I've been teaching a group of women in Morocco.
Yep.
And so for the last 2 years, and actually I think of my videos as didactic material. It's to me, I'm a teacher.
Yep.
And that's how I view the videos, and that's what I've been doing with my blog. So I haven't done teaching large groups here in Australia in the past, but that is my training, and my YouTube videos are about teaching.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think I'm really excited to learn from you in person because I think it's you're teaching a table runner pattern, so they should be able to finish it on the cruise, and I'll put some photos and details about it in there.
I wasn't quite sure about the time it would take. I think that it's. I mean, I don't think we expect people to quilt it, do we?
No.
Just putting it together, it's one part. I think it can be done. It can be done in that time. And if some people are very quick, as I found out, and I have another project that is the same kind of, is the same video, the same block, but it looks very different, which would be more like either a tabletop or a cushion. We'll see. And I thought I might just do the two for the fast ones.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to cater for those that are really fast and those that take their time and work at speed. Because in reality, I'm the take my time, work at a different speed to everybody else. And I'm the one that if I'm taking a class, I'm always last to finish.
Last one. Yeah. Me too.
Use it
That would be me. Yes.
I'm still picking fabric.
Oh, I see. But that's fun. I like picking fabric.
That's my
thing. Just have to get the right one. Yeah. Me too. I like it.
And then fussy cutting. I'm too busy thinking about where I want it to go and what impact it'll have and everyone else is finished and cut. And so as teachers, you have to cater for that. So it's great that you've got an option for the fasties. The other thing I really like is you seem to, and I don't know whether it's just because I'm drawn to them, so I notice them more, but you seem to do a lot of disappearing blocks.
Yes, well.
It's it cracks me up because like I love them and I love the impact that they have, but I still chuckle because my husband's like, you take fabric that's whole and then you cut it up and then you sew it together and then you cut it up again. And then sew it.
Yes, that's the fun. Well, I do a lot because I did a video on that. It wasn't, I mean, when I had a choice, when I did my first and only book, the publisher suggested that was a good topic. Yeah. And also she suggested also some of my other stuff I had done, but I thought that it would be because of the way that I had been doing my videos at the end, where I also show a lot of variations of the same block. The disappearing blocks lend themselves a lot to that kind of, manipulation.
Yep.
So, and I thought there was a lot of stuff that I could also research, and it was something for me to also be more creative than making a book on some other topic.
Yeah.
Because then I could come up with things that did not exist or that I hadn't seen before. I mean, it's really hard to cut to something original anymore, I'm sure. But yes, things that I don't know.
It's funny. Yeah. I don't know. I really love traditional blocks. Traditional blocks is where my jam is. I love them. I love the complexity of them. I love the challenge of the points. I love the fact that you have 73 little pieces in a 6-inch block. Traditional blocks is my thing. And I think, it's so hard in the traditional space because we've all seen it 1,000 times before. But every so often, someone out there comes up with a new traditional feeling block that you've not seen before, and you kind of go, okay, so there's still room to move in that space.
Yeah, you can, I guess. But sometimes you do things and you think, I haven't seen this, and then you come across somebody else's work and think, somebody had done it already.
Yeah.
Well, so it's,
I read Seth Godin, who is I'm actually reading his book at the moment. This is marketing.
Okay.
He's an American marketer. I don't know his biography, and quite frankly, I don't really need to, but he does a daily blog post, which you get as an email. And it's sometimes it's like one sentence, sometimes it's 2 sentences, sometimes it's a whole dissertation. But today's was a really interesting one. It was on the fact that, well, as Ecclesiastes say, there's nothing new under the sun. No idea is completely new and and independent of anything else that's going around. And
right.
if someone has a new idea that is close to yours, maybe the same as yours in a lot of ways, or leverages off something you've done, that's a good thing because it means that you're doing something that other people want. So
yes, well, that's a great way to look at it.
Looking at it, yeah. And I was really, like I said, I read it this morning as I started my day, and I was like, that's a really great way of looking at it. And because he said, when you go out and you defend and you're like, this is mine, you've copied my idea, this is mine, that furthers a scarcity mindset where there is limited ideas and only we can. And so you waste all this energy protecting when you should go, oh, yeah, you've thought about that. Yep. Okay. You've taken it to there. Where can I leverage it off to take it to the next spot or to a different place? And so it was a really interesting take on that thing. And you see it a lot in the quilting world where women kind of go, oh, that's mine. You've copied mine. That's it. And you kind of go,
been there.
Yeah.
I've been there once with somebody who was really, really telling me that, that was her design, even though it wasn't quite like it, but anyway, it was a tutorial, of her blog. But yes, I did experience that, and I didn't like it because being accused of something that I hadn't just not.
Yeah,
it was nothing original. She could have copied it herself. It wasn't. It was a design that was out there, had seen it before, except that maybe the way that I used color to work with, it resembled the one her quilt.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
And it's funny because when that's happened to me in the past, I've usually responded with well, I'll share yours, you share mine. Because if they like yours, they're going to like mine. And so the customer or the creative on the other side, the person we're supposed to be servicing, gets more and falls more in love with their quilting, more in love with the process. And that means that they continue to thrive in this thing that we ought to love and want to develop. So it's a really interesting, and we've had a girlfriend and I pitched the exact same concept of a quilt to a magazine, independent of each other. We'd never spoken about it, but we just happened to do it at the same time. And I think it's reflective of the fact that we all swim in the same TV, music, news, internet, Pinterest, all that. We're all seeing the same stuff.
Yes.
It's going to come out for the same time, it's same person, somewhere else, all of that sort of thing. But
that's true.
But yeah, the disappearing stuff, I've not seen anyone do disappearing quite the way you do. And it's given me a new way of looking at blocks. I'm currently going through a bit of an obsession with a split block. So, when they do a split churn dash or a split Ohio.
Yes.
And so because the pattern, when you put them together and you tessellate them, what they look like and their options and things like that. So disappearing is kind of the same thing, a twist on that.
I'm attracted to that. So I did something I saw, which was with a star. I saw tooth star, split one, but it wasn't my idea.
Yeah,
I've seen it in many places, but I did design the chain dash or the what is it called, the monkey wrench. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, which one of the two is the same one. But I've done it, and it's in my queue, but I haven't done it yet because, look, I I like to teach things that are simple, not too involved, because I like people to have success.
Yes.
So it's one of these things, because once you get people to learn, they might stick to it. But if you make it too hard, and it's more involved for me as well, if I want to produce something involved, like those split ones are more involved. They require more work in planning and, So that's why I haven't done that one, the hard ones. I come up with ideas of doing stuff, and then I think, okay, I'll put it in my calendar and I'll say it. Then I keep putting them back. Now they were from 2023. Now they're in 2024. So I keep they're getting back down.
Well, let me know when you do your split churn dash, because my split churn dash tutorial's going out this afternoon.
So definitely not. Oof.
No, because
I don't know.
I wonder if your construction will be different to mine. And so that's my thing is I'm like, I look at it one way, you look at it in a different way.
Yes.
I don't care who learns from who as long as they learn how to do it and they come back for more, because I want to fill the world with quilters.
Yeah, that's right. I can assure you my way is going to be the easiest I can think up at the time, because I'm not into difficult construction or fancy, and I'm not very good at math. So it'll be simple. I tell you that.
Yeah, well, mine is quarter square triangles. I'm looking at it because it's on the design wall. HST quarter square triangles.
Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know that. That doesn't seem to be the way. I think half square triangles.
Whether I would have been better off making two big churn dashes in different colours, cutting them on the diagonal and doing a 2-for-1 instead of.
Yes.
But again,
maybe
it's that control freak in me, because I wanted to control what went where and how, but that's what I'm saying. There's heaps of ways to do it. And that was my thing has always been, if I share other people's ways and someone finds their love of quilting through that person, then that's a win for me. So
that's right.
And that's really why we're doing the cruise the way we are, where we have 4 different teachers. They get a taste of everything. They can find new to them people. They can find new to them techniques. They get that experience of learning from everybody else. But so if you do a split churn dash, let me know.
Yes, well, I'll hopefully next year sometime.
Yeah. Well, I've done a split Ohio Star as well, and that one was really tricky.
Right.
Because
if it's very tricky, I don't think it'll be on the list for next year. I'm not up to it.
It was just more tricky because the quarter square triangles that are essentially the same, the 4, it's just that you rotate them differently. So your fabric placement. And when I was sewing it and doing the filming for the tutorial, I kept putting them back in the wrong spot. Yes. And so you'd be like, oh, that just kind of looks a little bit off, but I'm not sure why it's off. And then I'd have to go through and go, that fabric touches that fabric. That fabric touches that fabric.
That's right, yes.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good when you record it, you see it. Sometimes I do a lot of variation. Sometimes I said, I've done that. When I'm editing afterwards, I said, that's exactly the same as before. Didn't I do the same? But anyway, you can always cut it off.
Did you find when you did your book, did you have to do like blown out steps where you had to send them a piece of the same block in like 6 steps? And you had to send them 6 versions. This is step 1. This is step 2. This is step 3.
Yes, that was a nightmare.
Yep, because I find
that was a nightmare. And I think, look, my son, I'm doing a recording on like for.
Because your mum's famous.
He can hear you. I think they find it quite weird. They tell their friends, "Oh, your mum. What does your mum know? It's a YouTuber in quilting." Okay.
Yeah.
That's acceptable. That's acceptable.
My son's very much. When do I get to be a YouTuber? All right. What's the concept of your YouTube channel? And I'm like, well, you think of a concept, and we'll come back and whiteboard it, and I'll teach you what you need to know. But yes.
That's right.
No, I find because I'm the only person here, when I record a tutorial, I just record it as I make it, right? So I just take the cut fabric and the end block is that same cut fabric. So when we were doing the book, I found it really hard that I had to make each step individually, and it was twice as bad because I fussy cut. I had to fussy cut each step. So I needed like 6 motifs to be able to do this is how it looks. And that was really difficult. And I think there is some advantage in being a one-man show when it comes to, I don't have to explain to anybody. When I edit the video, I know exactly which bit goes where. I don't have to go look for this spot, look for this spot. But if I want to grow, I have to start thinking about outsourcing.
Yes.
That's
No, definitely. I got to a point that you need to. For the book was a nightmare. I still have a box full of the same block. I don't know how many times, 6 times, some of them.
Yep. Yeah.
Because I had to send them over to the US and they photographed them there. So, and then they sent them back to me. And that was a nightmare. And when they proposed the second one, which I declined in the end, I was going to do all of the photographs myself because it would have been a lot easier. I mean, I can photograph, the something from the top. I have a box, I can do that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work when you do everything yourself too. Yeah. And what I find with books is that you are the creative, the one who produces all the work. You do the editing, even though they have editors that they improve your book, that's for sure. Yeah. But I don't think you get enough compensation for the work you put into it.
No. And again, I understand that it's a risk. The publisher takes all the risk, and so they want a higher reward for all of that risk. But then I'm like, I found with my experience, the publisher takes the bigger chunk, but I'm supposed to do all the legwork. And it's my audience that I have to convince to buy the book. The publisher doesn't do much marketing at all to help with that.
Exactly.
And I think that's a model that has worked traditionally for a long time for the publishing industry, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the model that's going to work going forward. And we self-publish our sampler patterns, and it is financially risky, but the reward is a lot better for us.
Exactly.
And I think at the end of the day, that book stands and fails based on what I do. And
exactly.
And so I sleep a bit better at night. I mean, I really love the book that CNT published for me, and I'm very grateful for that experience. And it was a lifelong dream. I call it my vanity project because it was a lifelong dream to be a published author.
Yes, no, you're right. You're right. It's a vanity project. All of this is a bit like a vanity project. Oh, that's why it keeps going, or it kept going originally. I agree. The book was that because, from the start, you don't get paid. It's just for your own ego. And I'm very happy I did it. I like the process because you learn a lot.
Yeah,
didn't you? I mean, and it's a bit exciting.
Yeah,
and it's your name on print. Even I didn't have any. I never thought I would publish any. I mean, I never thought I would be doing anything I'm doing right now. It wasn't even in the horizon.
Yeah, if my home economics teacher could see me now, if she's still alive, she'd probably be rolling in the grave.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, no, it's
even
fun.
My year 11, like we've moved back to my hometown, and every so often I just desperately want to run into my year 11 English teacher who told me I'd never be an author, and I just want to go.
Oh,
and he'd go, but it's not a work of fiction, is it? And I'd go,
yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's really interesting how the twists and turns that life takes you through, and how you end up in the place that we do. But yeah, it was just really, this is not the world that I thought I would inhabit. So
exactly. Look, I trained to be a French teacher, and I'm here doing quilting videos. That's weird. Like,
have you ever thought of doing them in French, like doing a French voiceover?
Or Spanish, because I'm no. Okay. I don't think the audience. I mean, if you think in terms of why doing it in another language, and if it's for getting a bigger audience, too much work.
Yeah.
Too much work for maybe not enough. I mean, like I said, I'm still I'm thinking whether do I want this to be bigger? Or I want to keep it small. I have that. I find myself a bit old. You're younger than me. I find that I got here a bit late, and yes, I don't know if I have the energy to do this like when I was 20 something.
Yep.
If I had started off with this YouTube, I would be in a different place altogether. But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
we play this game. If you could go back in time, what age would you go visit and what would you tell yourself? And so that's right.
That would be a hard one. What I would tell myself. Well, I would tell myself to be less critical of myself, to be, more self-assured, I guess. Less shy, but you can't tell. I'm a naturally shy person, and I'm an introvert. I don't know. I don't have fun in large groups of people, partying.
Yep.
I'm okay in large groups if I'm doing something like if I was teaching something to a large group. That's not being in a group. It's not socializing. Is difficult for an introvert, I think.
Yep.
Socializing for the sake of socializing,
Yeah,
that is. You learn, because I've been doing a lot of it when I'm overseas, like in Morocco now, but it's always difficult. So I can't change myself. If I could change myself, probably I would, teach myself to be less shy and more extroverted. And but yeah, that's
and
the way I am.
What age do you think you'd tell yourself that?
Oh, when I was very young, in my 20s.
Yeah. See, I always think I would go back in my last couple of years at high school and tell myself to knuckle down.
Probably then, yes. Probably earlier, yes. I suppose high school. I could go as back as that, because I think I see women in their 20s now that are a lot more confident than I was at the same age, and they seem to know a lot more about the world and how to go about their life than I did then.
Yeah, and I because when I was finishing school in grade 11, computers just came in. And so we were like one of the first schools to get a computer, and I had no whatevs. And so now I think, I'd go back and tell myself, find out everything you can about that. And graphic design is a legitimate career choice.
Yeah, that too, because I like languages, so I did that for a job, because I thought, French was a teacher was a career. Whereas I'm very much, I draw, and I used to, when I had more time, draw, paint, and all that sort of thing. And so I would have done fine arts if I thought at the time that that was something I could earn a living with, because that's why I'm doing patchwork now, because that's creative. But so, yes, probably I would have told myself, forget about, what you can live off, and just do what you like.
But isn't that interesting? Because I was the same. Art was my favorite subject at school. I wasn't super great at it, but I could carry myself through it. Probably if I'd practiced more and had that thing of, this is a viable option, I would have been a lot better. But it's that thing. I remember clearly going to my dad when he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be an artist. And him going, there's no money in that.
Yeah.
You need to eat, girl. There's no money. And I think he did at that time the best advice that he knew to give me in that space, because he was concerned about my quality of life, and he didn't want to see me struggle, and he wanted to see some financial security in my life, all of those sorts of things. And he loved me. So that was the advice he gave me. And I think when my son says to me, I want to be an artist, I think, what advice would I give him? And I go, oh, it's a difficult one, because you are torn between that, honey. You want a steady paycheck, and you want to be able to eat, but if you have this burning desire to create, how do you marry those two things together? And because not all of us are going to be Taylor Swift. And that's a hard, in this society, when we're told we can do everything and anything and we can be Taylor Swift, there's only one Taylor. There's only one Oprah.
Exactly.
They're a exception to the rule, not the rule. And
That's
so
right.
How do you encourage that without squashing that? But also, I mean, he could be Taylor Swift if he, who knows what someone's capable of doing. But it's that thing of, how do you balance?
Yeah. Yes.
And because my immediate thing when you went, I'm too old, was like, oh, no, you're not. you're not. You can still do stuff. It's not.
I can
Quality of life question. Do you want to be slaving away making tutorials?
Exactly.
So
that's it.
And really, it's that freedom of choice that you want to give your kids. You want to grow up where they have a choice, where they can go, yes, I'm going to go to a 9-to-5 job, or no, I'm going to leave that behind and choose a different path. But yeah. And I mean, I see the work that you're doing, and I am so very appreciative of the work that you've done, because it allows myself and others to venture into that space as well. And I am very in awe of what you've done as just one person, because I know the work that would go into it. And you were to me, you were an early adopter of the video tutorial.
Yes,
so
I think.
You paved a way for a lot of people who take it for granted now that that's just a thing that you can do, because you helped build one of the frameworks for how to do it. And that's really impressive. That is really...
all of that, to me, when you're saying all of that, just really, I don't know, because I feel like I live in a vacuum. Because I don't watch people's videos. I pretty much, occasionally, of course, I do. Sometimes I research some things, because I might not be quite certain about how to make things. I do, but it's not like I spend a lot of time. In part, as well, sometimes I don't want to be influenced too much.
Yep.
It depends. I don't want to knock things off unless I do things that are, traditional. So obviously, lots of people have done it before. But yeah, so all of that. I mean, a friend of mine, well, who used to live in Vienna, now she's in Morocco, and she went to a shop in Vienna and mentioned my name and said, "Oh yeah, I know. Of course, we know her." And to me, that's like news. I have no idea. So I really appreciate it. I feel really.
But that's the beauty of it, right? We make it, we put it out there. We have no idea who's going to view it. I'm like you. I don't watch a lot. I'm not my audience, if that makes sense. Because when I watch a video, I'm not watching necessarily to learn about the patchwork. I mean, I am drawn to the patchwork stuff. But a lot of times, because it's a business for us, you're watching it through a different lens. You're like, oh, okay, how did they do that? How did they achieve that?
Exactly.
What would I do differently? What would I embrace? What makes that person unique? What's going to be our point of uniqueness? So it's that analytical kind of consumption of the products. But the other part of me too goes, I just really enjoy seeing people make stuff. And so to see people make stuff, and then it's funny because you say I'm really shy and I like to keep to myself, but you share such a personal side of yourself when you share it, your creativity with the world, and we get to see that little bit. And so
I guess
it's a really interesting dynamic that the internet allows us to have. And I think it's really cool that someone from Morocco went to Vienna who knew someone who used to live in Australia and like, it's just that connectivity.
This person in the shop, they went a patchwork shop, and the owner knew my videos. That's how
it's amazing.
It was like, there you go. People know me. I know. I mean, I have a lot of followers, so a lot of people know me, and I have very good feedback. Hardly ever I get bad feedback, which is very unusual, I would have thought, given that people are sometimes very nasty. But anyway.
Yeah. So
yes. So it's a bit. Yes, I will for the time being. I'm assessing every now and then.
But I think you have to. That's what.
Yes.
What makes you successful, is you have to sit back and assess and go, is this working for me? Is this what I want to keep doing? Because I think if you don't derive some sort of joy out of it, your audience isn't going to get that joy. And so it's no use forcing it. But the other thing, consistency. You've kept the same thing up for a long time. So lots of people early on, I used to get really panicky every time I'd see some new bright star rocketing up the interest path, and I go, what's going to happen to me? And then I think, is that bright new star going to be there in 12 months' time? And that's really the test, is that consistency. And I've been doing this now. I've been blogging since 2002, so that's 20 plus years.
So that you started earlier than me. No,
yeah, I started.
Yes, definitely in 2002. Yes.
Yeah, on LiveJournal the same year Mark Zuckerberg started on LiveJournal.
Wow.
And obviously he went one way and I went the other.
Wow.
But because I was an early adopter and I worked in IT, so
yeah, me too.
It was one of those things where you were like, oh, well, you know, I've got the support here of being able to try something new. But we've only been running this as a business for 5 years, I think, now. And so it's the consistency has been the biggest problem for me. So people like yourself that turn up every week, that do it, don't get that burnout where you just go, I'm out. I'm not going to do anything for 6 months, which is what I do. I go, I can't do it anymore. So it is a journey and it is a balance. And I am very much looking forward to seeing you on the cruise and learning from you in person.
Yeah, me too. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect. I've never done cruising before. And so it's a bit different.
Yeah. I was very anti-cruising until we did our first one. And I think as a person who is very lazy, I don't like unpacking. I don't like running for trains. I don't like trying to catch a plane. I don't like the anxiety of, will I miss my flight, all of that sort of thing. Yeah. Cruising allowed me to see multiple places with all of that anxiety gone. And then because the ships are structured the way that they are, designed the way they are, I was able to go, all right, I will have this amount of time with people. Oh, I will go find this quiet spot to rest and recharge. And there's like lots of little quiet spots all over the shop. So, ship. And then there's spots where if you want to be out with people, you can be out with people. I'm not a nightclubby, like I don't do loud, noisy stuff very well. So I liked the fact that in the evenings we could go have a drink and play a card game or something, and like a hot chocolate or something, not a drink, and just have that downtime, because I like people. I like hearing about people. And so to be able to have a conversation, and the quality of the ship, like it's the little things. I was expecting a train on sea, basically. Oh, right. And then when we got there, the toilets have individually rolled fabric washcloth things. It's not like, you know, when you pull. Like, it is a luxury vessel. It's not, and I wasn't expecting that. And so, and like the chocolate on your pillow, the turn down service. Nice. Love chocolate. Like, and everybody gets that. It's not just like if you booked in this row of cabins, you get that. So, it's a really lovely way to travel. And so I hope you guys really love it as much as we do. But yes. So
good. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll see you, God willing, in May.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Fussy Cutters podcast. Enjoyed listening? Why not subscribe so you'll never miss an episode? Did you know the quickest way to the heart of any podcaster is to leave a review or recommend the podcast to a friend? It's true. It is. Until next week, get out there and fondle that fabric.